or spy number of Chasing Labels, but it's more of a continuation of the most recent spy number of Chasing Labels, which was spy number 191. This is a bit of a part two, a bit of an addendum, a bit of an add-on, a bonus, if you will. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's magical like that. But originally, on this past Monday's spy number of Chasing Labels, I initially had the idea that I was going to include the Criterion announcements for August in that episode. Use it at the end as the grand finale, like I typically do with all of the Criterion announcements. But it just so happens that the announcements dropped literally that day. They dropped that afternoon. It didn't give me much time to look into them at all. Didn't give me much time, obviously, to watch any of the movies that I hadn't seen already. It didn't give me much time to look at the special features. Didn't give me much time to do anything with them at all. So I figured, since Criterion is probably the label in which I buy the most of, it's the one that's kind of the bedrock of my collection, I would say, especially when it comes to the boutique labels, probably the boutique label that is most nearest and dearest to me. It's the one I prioritize probably above all the other ones. So I figured I would give it its own time, give me a couple more days to watch some of the movies that I haven't seen, prepare, do it properly instead of just like rushing through it at the end. So thank you all for joining me here for this episode, or this addendum, if you will. Of those of you joining me here for the first time, this is a very short, condensed version of what we typically do here on Chasing Labels. For Chasing Labels, we go over the various announcements in the world of boutique label home video or home entertainment, however you want to say it. And it's typically a much longer show, but this is just an add-on to our most recent episode or spy number. And this is just the Criterion stuff, just Criterion. So it's a Criterion-centric episode. Let me pull up the announcements. So for August of 2026, which is where we are, these we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 announcements, and we will get into them right away. So also, before we get into that, check out all the stuff we've been doing here on Chasing Labels. Check out, of course, the most recent episode of Chasing Labels, which is 191, which this is a part of. I had a very special guest in Suzanne Bolin from Australia, from Imprint Cast, and as well as various special features that you, for releases you may or may not have, or may or may not be aware of. Two that I have in Rubber's Lover and Strange Circus, both from New Wave Video in Australia. So check that out. Also, we will be having a new episode of The Unwatched Pile tomorrow night. That will be a live stream here as well. I will be watching the movie Pale Rider for the first time, the 1980s Western directed by Clint Eastwood. And Steven will be watching The Criminal, directed by Joseph Losey. We will be doing a double, we'll be talking about those movies plus pairing them up with something in our collection. Then I believe we will be doing a second part to that episode where we'll be talking about the movie Obsession, the recent horror film that came out from Blumhouse. And we will be talking about movies to perhaps pair up with that film as well. We'll be going into non-spoilers and going into spoilers and all that stuff. Also, next weekend, there will be another episode of Movies Down Memory Lane, where we will be talking about Hoop Dreams. So if you're familiar with that documentary of Hoop Dreams, coincidentally, Criterion has put it out on DVD and Blu-ray. So we'll be talking about that then. And also check out all the other stuff we've been doing here on Chasing Labels, Criterion reviews, interviews with various people, all that good stuff. So let me get to these Criterion releases for August. So initially, I thought that these were going to be dropping Friday, May 15th, and they decided to hold them to Monday, the 18th, which obviously, like I said, didn't give me much time. So we have a couple of films here. I'll just read them down, and then we'll get into them individually. Harlan County, USA. We have American Dream. These are both films by Barbara Koppel, both documentaries. We have the movie Little Odessa by James Gray. We have an Eclipse series. This is I don't know if it's a re-release or if it's a new one. I should probably check on that. But it's Eclipse Series 49, 5 radical documentaries by Kazuo Hara and Sachiko Kobayashi. And then we have Coup de Torchon, which is a film by Bertrand Tavernier. And then we have Safe, the movie by Todd Haynes, one of my favorites. So I guess we will start off there because the Todd Haynes uh, film Safe got a Blu-ray release many, many years ago, and I just so happen to have it here because I have a Todd Haynes section in my collection. I've always been a big fan of Todd Haynes. I think his movie Carol is one of the best movies of the 21st century. Like, I think it's one of the best. And he, of course, he's been working, oh goodness, I want to say since the early 90s, late 80s. He's part of this um, uh, subgenre of new queer cinema that rose up in the 80s and into the 90s. Stephen Frears was part of that. Greg Araki, of course. I have the Greg Araki box set from Criterion here, which has 3 of his films from the 90s. This is, excellent, excellent stuff. So if you haven't seen the movie Safe, it stars Julianne Moore, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And this is a movie that is interesting. It's very introspective. It's been several years since I've seen it because this Blu-ray came out 2014, I believe, is when this Blu-ray came out. I should probably check on that instead of just making up stuff. I probably should actually get some actual information while I am on the internet. Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, December of 2014. So I'm pretty sure I bought this movie probably the following Criterion sale, which would be July of 2015, which is probably the time around when I bought this. And this is, let me read what it says here on Criterion's website, see how they describe it, because I don't think I've seen this movie in 10 years. Julianne Moore gives a breakthrough performance as Carol White, a Los Angeles housewife in the late 1980s who comes down with a debilitating illness. After the doctors she sees can give her no clear diagnosis, she comes to believe that she has frighteningly extreme environmental allergies. A profoundly unsettling work from the great American director Todd Haynes, Safe functions on multiple levels as a prescient commentary on self-help culture, as a metaphor for the AIDS crisis, as a drama about class and social estrangement, and as a horror film about what you cannot see. This revelatory drama uh, re- this revelatory drama was named the best film of the 1990s in a Village Voice poll of more than 50 critics. Yeah, this is getting a 4K UHD upgrade from Blu-ray. As you can see, I have the Blu-ray here. Many of you probably already have it in your collection. For special features, we have a new 4K restoration supervised and approved by director Todd Haynes with uncompressed monaural soundtrack, one 4K UHD disc of the film presented in Dolby Vision HDR, and one Blu-ray with the film and the special features. It's typically what Criterion does. The 4K disc will just have the movie. If there's a commentary, of course, it'll be included. If it doesn't, um, there's no special features on that disc. You go to the second disc, which is the Blu-ray, has the movie and the special features. And people may be wondering why certain companies do that. The Criterion's not the only one. Certain companies usually just have the 4K disc, just has the movie and the audio for the movie on it. What that does, this is getting a little technical now, so please excuse me for that. What that does is that basically leaves the room on the disc for just the movie. So the movie there's no compression issues on the movie at all. It has the maximum amount of megabits that you need. The bit rate will be super, super high, usually in the 80s, 90s, and even at 100, sometimes over 100, depending on the movie, depending on the scene, depending on what's going on screen. And that will give you basically the maximum amount of picture quality that you could possibly get. There's nothing hindering it whatsoever. The audio doesn't take up a lot of space on the disc. So the video has all the room in the world to breathe, which is really, really nice. Of course, that's what you want from a 4K. If you're going to spend the money on 4K release, you're going to want the best picture and sound quality possible. So for the special features on here, there's an audio commentary featuring Haynes, actor, let's see, Julianne Moore, and producer Christine Vachon. Conversation between Haynes and Moore, the Suicide in 1978 short film by Todd Haynes, and then an interview with Vachon, and that is it. So, and there's also an essay by critic Dennis Lim in the booklet that comes with it. So the same special features. It's the same special features that were on the Blu-ray. Typically, that's what Criterion does. Yeah, so if you're curious what it looks like inside, the Blu-ray the Blu-ray release just has the Blu-ray. We got this booklet here, which is an actual booklet. It's not one of those fold-out poster ones. Oh, or it is. Nope, I lied. It is. It's one of those fold-out poster ones. Not my favorite design from Criterion. I understand. Perhaps it's cheaper to make and save space and things like that. But it's a pain to unfold it, read the contents, fold it back up. Oh, I hate folding posters. I hate folding posters. So that is Todd Haynes' film Safe. Like I said, it's been about 10 years since I've seen it, but really great film. It's deeply thematic on so many levels. Like the description said, it's an allegory for the AIDS epidemic. It's an allegory for um, class and society. It's an allegory for women's place in a patriarchal society. It's so much because the Julianne Moore character in this film, you never know what's really wrong with her. She could have nothing wrong with her, but there's this invisible element that is grossly affecting her life, and I feel like that's more even prescient today in the society now, where we're more aware of things like depression and anxiety and mental health issues and stuff like that, and how that affects us physically, how it affects us mentally, how it affects our lives entirely. So Todd Haynes is hitting on a lot of great stuff back in 1995. I say back in 1995 because that was 31 years ago. I was 8 years old when this movie came out. But moving on from Safe, we will move to let's go Coup de Torchon. Coup de Torchon is a Bertrand Tavernier film, and let me see if he has another film in the collection. He does. Round Midnight, yes. Okay, so Round Midnight, I think was released. I want to say last year or the year before. It was released recently, so that's why that name sounded familiar to me. So Coup de Torchon is a French film, and this is an interesting film. Let me see. We have some comments here before I go on. Acres of Movies is here. Let's see. Hello and thanks from Stacy. Greeting from Hiroshima. Oh, interesting. Um, Acres of Movies also says, "What can film movie sounds best to you?" Uh, right now, I am actually really excited to see Nicholas Winding Refn's new film that's coming out in July, because he hasn't really directed a feature film, I think, since The Neon Demon, which was like a decade ago. Or because I remember going to the movies to see Neon Demon. I don't know if I did a review for it here on YouTube at the time. All I remember is seeing that movie in theaters was very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Of course, I want to see Park Chan Wook's newest film. Kiyoshi Kurosawa has a samurai film that premiered at Cannes. I really want to see that. There's a lot of stuff coming out of Cannes right now. Obviously, I don't think they've done I don't think they've given out the Palme d'Or and the Grand Prix and all that stuff yet. I'll wait till that drops. Let's see. Acres Movies says really enjoyed Safe. Yeah, it's an uncomfortable movie because it's so fascinating just seeing this character kind of devolve inside of herself. A really introspective film. Um, yeah, so Acres Movie says yes, her private hell was great. Saw that. Oh, cool. Um, oh, Minotaur. That's another movie I want to see. I have seen Obsession. So Acres of Movies tomorrow night. I think Steven and I will be talking about Obsession on the newest episode of the Unwatched Pile. That will be kind of our second part of that episode. Needless to say, both of us really love that movie. Like it's one of the one of my favorites of the year so far. So right now it's in my top 5 of the year so far. It is a deeply, deeply layered horror film that I can't wait to really discuss in depth. It's really, really good. Oh, Backrooms. Yeah, I got Acres of Movies. I have to check out Backrooms. I know that's coming out wide next Friday. At least here in the US, it's coming out in theaters next Friday. But let me see what else we got here. Oh, yeah, Coup de Torchon. That's what I want to talk about. So we've got Bertrand Tavernier's Coup de Torchon with this existential crime thriller, legend of French cinema. Bertrand Tavernier transforms Jim Thompson's hard-boiled novel Pop 1280 into a darkly comic, philosophically provocative exploration of the brutality and absurdity of colonialism, moving the story setting from the American South to 1930s French West Africa, Coup de Torchon features a frighteningly enigmatic performance from Philippe Noiret as a police chief whose seemingly ineptitude masks a cold-blooded pursuit of revenge and control that draw his opportunistic mistress, a fiery Isabelle Huppert, into an escalating spiral of violence, which each with each chilling revelation, Tavernier plunges us ever deeper into an abyss of madness and corruption, laying bare the decaying soul of empire. Interesting right up there. So the movie has those elements in it, but they're not as overt as this description would uh, let you believe. This movie is good, but I feel like it's a movie I have to watch more than once to kind of get all of these deeper layered themes in them. This was originally set in the story is originally set in the American West in the 19th century, and it's about this and in this case it's about this police chief, this police officer who's kind of pushed around a lot. He's bullied, he's emasculated, he's just people don't respect him at all. Disrespected left and right. And until he decides to basically stand up for himself and does so in a cold, calculated, nihilistic way. Like he just starts taking people out, being like judge, jury, and executioner. He goes from being like a goofy guy kind of going along with all the pranks that are being played on him being pushed around and him not being taken seriously. He rolls with the punches. He rolls with the punches and then he doesn't. And then he becomes Judge Dredd. He basically becomes Judge Dredd. Uh, you know, uh, judge, jury, and executioner essentially, and it shows you that swing from one part of the spectrum to the other, and it's interesting how he rationalizes all of these things, how he gets out of all of these really tight situations. Like he's just taking people out, and it's like a small town where everybody knows everybody as well. So it's not like he's taking out strangers or anything like that. And he's not even like he's mostly taking out like criminals, uh, but still it's morally unjust, morally unjust. So a fascinating film from that perspective. And there's a new 4K restoration with uncompressed monaural soundtrack interview from 2001 with director Bertrand Tavernier. A new interview with critic and poet Robert Polito the source novel, source novel author Jim Thompson. Making of program featuring on-set footage and interviews with the members of the cast and crew, alternate ending, trailers, and then new English subtitles translation, plus an essay by scholar Lynn Anthony Higgins. And there's the cover, Coup de Torchon. So let's move on from Coup de Torchon to let's go to the Eclipse set. So this is fascinating. Okay, so we have this Eclipse set that is really excellent. So this Eclipse set, I'll make sure I'm getting everything in the frame here. Yeah. So this is Eclipse series number 49. Radical. I don't know why this is zoomed in. Hold on. Let me fix that. Yeah, so this is Eclipse series number 49, 5 radical documentaries by Kazuo Ohara and Sachiko Kobayashi. These are all actually on the Criterion Channel streaming service, so you can watch them all. This is where I watch them. I watched 3 out of 5 of these. I watched Goodbye CP, which is actually we'll get into Goodbye CP, Extreme Private Eros, Love Song 1974, The Emperor's Naked Army Marches On, A Dedicated Life, and then Senin Asbestos Disaster. These are 5 documentaries. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 documentaries, and they are the three that I saw are excellent. I watched the first 3. I watched Goodbye CP, Extreme Private Eros, Love Song 1974, and The Emperor's Naked Army Marches On. Once I started giving these movies high ratings, I was like, okay, this is something that I like. I don't have to watch all of these. All I know is I really like them. So let me read the description, then I'll get into the ones that I saw. Shocking, confrontational, and made with white hot fury. These radical documentaries, directed by Kazuo Ohara and produced by his wife and longtime creative partner Sachiko Kobayashi, give voice to the outsiders and iconoclasts who wage war against the conformism of modern Japanese society. From a woman willing to risk everything on her journey toward personal and sexual liberation, that's from Extreme Private Eros, Love Song 1974, to a man whose quest to expose Japanese wartime atrocities borders on madness. That's from The Emperor's Army Marches On. The unforgettable subjects of these films are invited to be collaborators in Hara and Kobayashi's process, resulting in the work of unmatched power and immediacy. Yeah, what is amazing about these documentaries is how unflinchingly genuine they are, how harsh they are, how raw they are, and how gripping they are in just their naturalism. Truly extraordinarily um, pure form documentary style. Like it's just someone filming what's going on in front of them and then showing us. And it's truly extraordinary. Like it is, especially given the context of what we're seeing here. The first two that I saw, Goodbye CP and Extreme Private Eros, Love Song 1974, are both shot in the 1970s, early 1970s. And we're getting a glimpse of the early 1970s Japanese society and culture from literally a first person perspective. It's truly extraordinary. Now, Goodbye CP, which I saw, is a documentary about those dealing with cerebral palsy uh, in Japan during that time and basically fighting for rights and recognition and their place in society and all of those things. And it is remarkable. It is astonishingly prevalent to today and just shows how far and it shows how far we've come as a society when dealing with those with disabilities and how far we haven't. We're not as far along as we would probably think we are or want to be. Um, as someone who is disabled, seeing this documentary of a time before um, certain things existed in our society to help those with disabilities was quite harrowing. Quite harrowing. And this is a like really bold depiction of just these people's lives on a daily basis. And just walking around cities, walking around towns, traveling on public transportation, dealing with families, dealing with, personal gripes and all kinds of stuff. And it's just amazing. These documentaries are extraordinary. I'm so taken with them. And this really shows a lot about society. I mean, and in nowadays, people with disabilities are still fighting for the same things that they were fighting for in Japan in the early 1970s, even if it's not even if it's those who have other disabilities other than cerebral palsy. Um, the fight still goes on in many, many ways. The fight for just status in society, just to be recognized as human beings, to be recognized at all other than outside of the disabilities, and to be to even to fight for accommodations within our societies is still an ongoing fight. There are a lot of prejudices, a lot of stereotypes, a lot of negativity and oppression that is thrust upon those with disabilities, whether physical, whether mental, right, the entire gamut, right? And it's still an ongoing battle to this day, and it changes its forms all of the time. I mean, just dealing with um being chronically ill and having to explain to people how you can't do everything like other people do all the time. There are certain limitations that you have that others don't have. Things that are like that is an ongoing battle. It's I could go on and on for forever about this, but this documentary, Goodbye CP, is phenomenal. And then you have Extreme Private Eros, Love Song 1974. This is one of the rawest documentaries I have ever seen. It is just indescribable what this is depicting. So this documentary, let me see if I can read a little bit down here just to give people a perspective. My computer's not cooperating right now. Um, Let me just give you a synopsis. When his first wife, the outspoken feminist Miyuki Takeda, announced that she was leaving him in order to find herself, Kazuo Ohara began their radical documentary as a way of both to maintain their complex relationship and to make sense of it. Assisted by his new partner, Sachiko Kobayashi, Ohara is granted shockingly intimate access to Takeda's wayward journey toward liberation as she explores her sexuality, becomes a single mother, and grows increasingly disenchanted with traditional and structural and social structures. As complicated and uncompromising as herself, Extreme Private Eros Love Song 1974 explodes the boundaries between subject and filmmaker to portray a woman willing to risk everything to live on her own terms. It is, yeah, it's indescribably a it's an indescribable documentary. It's so raw and so interesting. And the one thing I will say about these documentaries is the way in which I'm describing them: raw, genuine, unflinching, harsh. They're also that same way when it comes to the filmmaking aspect of it. These are not like incredibly succinct and well structured documentaries. They're very haphazardly put together. I think so intentionally, because all of this footage is just so out there and so unique and so interesting and fascinating just on itself. It's just presented to us, you know, just here you go, have it, have it, watch it, make with it what you will. There's no narrative structure to any of this. It's really just all out there put together. It's kind of like a John Cassavetes version of a documentary. It's so raw and unique in that regard. And then the third one here that I saw is Emperor's Naked Army Marches On. And the description of this is thus: Kazuhara's most renowned film is a harrowing confrontation with one of the Japanese history's darkest chapters. His unforgettable subject and collaborator in The Emperor's Naked Army Marches On is Kenzo Akuzaki, a former soldier, convicted murderer, and defiantly anti establishment agitator who has made it his life's mission to expose the crimes committed by Japanese officers against their own men in New Guinea during World War II. As Okuzaki resorts to extreme measures in his crusade to find out the truth, what emerges is at once a shocking piece of investigative journalism, a courageous condemnation of militarism, and a riveting portrait of a single minded man driven by a raw fury bordering on madness. This man is insane. He's insane in the sense like he's angry. He's virulent, angry about the injustices that were done upon the Japanese that was done upon soldiers in World War II by their own superiors, and he's trying to expose that, and he's doing it in a very aggressive way. He's going to these people's houses and he is interviewing them in the most aggressive way possible. He is not beating around the bush. He is not being coy about any of it. He's going at these people. He is anti-establishment to the core. He is he's a character in and of himself within this film. And this film, it came out in 1987, and the other films came out, like I said, 1974 and 1972. You can tell by 1987, Kazuo Ohara's filmmaking has been polished up a bit. This documentary here is rather well structured, more polished, aesthetically looks a lot better, better editing, and he's become a much better filmmaker from a technical standpoint at this time. And this documentary is amazing and the reason why it's amazing, the reason why these documentaries I think are all amazing, they're still relevant to today. They're still contemporary. They're still hitting on themes and issues in our society that still persist and have not been fixed and have not been addressed. In this case here, we're talking about military cover-ups. We're talking about military corruption. We're talking about abuses of power. We're talking about all kinds of stuff like that. And we see that in our society to this day. It's really phenomenal here. And the other films that were in this set here are Dedicated Life and Senate Asbestos Disaster, at which I did not get to see. But I really want to add this clip set to my collection. Let me see if I can find it. They don't list any special features here. Let me see if there's and that's typical for the Eclipse sets, is they are there's no special features, but these movies in and of themselves are worth it. And this is coming out on Blu-ray in August. So definitely want to make mention of this. This is probably one of the highlights for me. And then next up here is A Little Odessa, which is the James Gray film. Before I get to there, oh cool. So um we have JB44 here under a different name. Benton96. Hello, Andrew. JB44 here watching while at work. Nice. Thank you. Hey, thanks for watching whenever you can, when you can. We accept all views here. Let's see. Let's see. Let me go to Little Odessa. So, Little Odessa is a James Gray film. James Gray is, I think, an underrated filmmaker, in my opinion. He's done a few movies. He did Ad Astra with Brad Pitt, which I still think is an underrated science fiction film. I think he did the movie The Immigrant with Joaquin Phoenix and um, what's her name? I was thinking of her the other day and I can't remember. Let me click on it. Hold on. What's her name? Marion Cotillard. Yeah, Marion Cotillard and Joaquin Phoenix in The Immigrant. He also did the movies The Lost City of Z, which I think is super underrated. Um, that movie's so underrated. There's been a Blu-ray of that already. There's been a 4K of that already. His new movie Paper Tiger, which I think just premiered at Cannes. Acres of Movies. You mentioned movies that from Cannes that I want to see. Paper Tiger is one of them. Let's see. He also did the movie We Own the Night and the Yards, which I think are also kind of underrated. But the movie Little Odessa is a movie starring what's his name? Oh, let's see. Tim Roth. That's who it is. Yeah. So I'll read this here. A Dostoevsky family tragedy in the form of a gangster drama. The darkly elegant debut feature by James Gray heralded the arrival of a singular voice in contemporary American cinema. Cloaked in the shadows of New York's underworld, Little Odessa follows Joshua, Tim Roth, a volatile hitman whose latest assignment takes him back to the Brooklyn neighborhood where he grew up. After his return home, his criminal life collides with the grim domestic world of his abusive father, ailing mother, and loyal teenage brother, portrayed by Eddie Furlong. Channeling the brooding fatalism of classic noir, Gray, who won the Venice Film Festival Silver Lion at just 25, composes a haunting reflection on violence that begins at home and ripples ever outward. So this movie, it definitely takes a lot from uh, not only noir, but I would say 90s neo noir. It's a lot closer to classic neo noir than it is that 90s neo noir flavor, but it's got them both. It meshes both of them together. Plus, you have familial drama, familial background, and in this film here, it's kind of like the description says. Tim Roth is a hitman for the mob. I think it's the Russian mob. I think it's the Jewish Russian mob, I believe. Either way, he gets an assignment to go do a hit in Brooklyn, and he's from Brooklyn, but he has been exiled from Brooklyn because of the things that he's done in his past. He's basically been exiled by his family as well as I think local organized crime elements there as well. So he's basically not allowed to go back to Brooklyn ever. But you can't once you receive an assignment, you kind of can't turn it down. So he basically sneaks his way back into Brooklyn. He reunites with his younger brother, portrayed by Eddie Furlong. I'm pretty sure many of you know Eddie Furlong from Terminator 2 fame. He was also in the movie American History X as well, playing a little brother to Edward Norton in that film. And in this one here, he's playing a little brother again. And then the movie kind of goes on from there, where you have, like I said, the elements of past familial drama, past past deeds catching up with you. You have the whole organized crime element to it as well. Tim Roth's character is very stoic, very quiet, but there's a lot going on behind behind that. And this movie, it tries to explore a lot of those things. A really good film. If you're a fan of James Gray, like I just mentioned, those movies, like We Own the Night, as well as The Yards, and then of course his later films in like Ad Astra, and then of course his newest film, uh, uh, I would definitely check out his work. Like I said, I've always been rather a fan of his. But here we've got a new 4K digital restoration supervised and approved by director James Gray with 2.0 surround DTS HD master audio tracks, one 4K UHD disc of the film presented in Dolby Vision, HDR, and one with the Blu-ray and the special features. There's an audio commentary from 2000 featuring the director, James Gray. Once Upon a Time, Little Odessa, a making of documentary by David Thompson, produced for French television. And then we have, excuse me, new conversation between Gray and critic podcaster Sean Fennessy. And then an essay by film critic Glenn Kenny in the booklet as well. This is a 4K UHD as well as a Blu-ray release. As you can see here, Tim Roth, Eddie Furlong, Moira Kelly, Vanessa Redgrave, Maximilian Schell. That's who stars in this film. And this film came out 1994. So literally the same year Tim Roth was in Pulp Fiction, he was in this film as well. Let's see. Moving backwards here, we have two documentaries. Now, this is these two, specifically Harlan County, USA, is an all-time amazing documentary, all time. But American Dream, I believe, is Barbara Koppel's follow-up documentary to that. By follow-up, I mean, I think it's the next film that she made. I have to look that up. Just don't quote me on that. But American Dream came out in, I can't see anything, 1990. My eyes are completely shot again. Winner of the Best Documentary Feature Oscar, Barbara Koppel's American Dream details the tumultuous 1985-1986 labor strike against Hormel Foods in Austin, Minnesota. Fed up with dangerous plant conditions and drastic wage cuts, Austin's local P9 went against the advice of its parent union and, aided by an activist campaign to damage the meatpacking giant's reputation, conducted a nearly year-long walkout. But as the strike dragged on, some workers found themselves desperate enough to cross the picket line, dividing a community already roiled by blockades, riots, and interventions of the National Guard. Followed up by her landmark documentary, Harlan County, USA, with another uncompromising report from the trenches of working class America, Koppel captures the human and political costs of one of the most significant setbacks to organized labor amid the unchecked corporations of the Reagan era. That is kind of important to realize that it is it is set within the 1980s. It is set within the Reagan era of the United States, which, I'm going to get political here, a lot of the things that happened during that era have a ripple effect of the way things are today in a negative way. In a negative way, that is including workers' rights. This movie obviously is not hiding its political leanings. It's not hiding its political themes. It is very much a politically involved documentary about the working class. And this happens to be in Austin, Minnesota, for the Hormel meatpacking company. I think Hormel, I'm pretty sure they still exist to today. They still exist to today. Anywho, this was about a 1985-1986 workers' strike, of which this local union decided to strike because they were cutting down people's wages. And needless to say, this strike actually didn't work. And the fact that this strike didn't work, as this description mentioned, set back workers' rights a bit. And in this movie here, you get kind of typical what Barbara Koppel does. You get the human perspective of it, the workers' perspective of it. You get the perspective of them, of the union meetings, of what it's like at home, of them struggling or while they're on strike, of people having to make the harsh decision to cross the picket lines to go to work in order to feed and provide for their families. I mean, it's a very real world type of stuff. I mean, this is I don't plan these connections. They just happen. In today's world, we are dealing in harsh economic times. We are dealing with inflation issues when it comes to grocery stores, when it comes to getting gas at gas stations, when it comes to the cost of living in general. Things are rapidly changing and getting worse and worse and worse. And that seems to have been always the throughout the 20th and now 21st century here in the United States when it comes to making a livable wage, when it comes to making enough to survive and provide for your families and buy, like I said, buy groceries, pay rent, utilities, apartment costs, and all this kind of stuff, right? The cost of living. Um, these are still issues. Economic issues are still prevalent in our society. These documentaries from 30, 40, 50 years ago are dealing with things that are still happening today. The issues have not been addressed. They have not been addressed at all. They've only gotten worse. But this documentary here, this release here, has an interview from 1992 with Barbara Koppel, and that is it. It's got a new 4K restoration supervised and approved by director Barbara Koppel with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. Uh, but going to, I think, her more well-known documentary is Harlan County, USA. This has been available to watch for years. I think I watched it on the Criterion channel some years ago. I don't have it in my collection, but I really, really want it. Yeah, this has been available on DVD from them. This has been available on Blu-ray from them. It's becoming available in 4K UHD as well. Um, this is a documentary from 1976. I believe it's about a strike that happened in the coal mining country in 1974. Let me read the description here. Barbara Koppel's Academy Award-winning Harlan County, USA unflinchingly documents a coal miners' strike in a small-town Kentucky town. With unprecedented access, Koppel and crew captured the miners' sometimes violent struggles with strikebreakers, local police, and company thugs. With a haunting soundtrack featuring legendary country and bluegrass artist Hazel Dickens, Merle Travis, David Morris, Sarah Ogan Gunning, and Florence Reese, the film is a heartbreaking record of the 13-month struggle between a community fighting to survive and a corporation dedicated to the bottom line. Once again, it's David versus Goliath. It's corporation versus workers. It's all of that in here. And Harlan County, USA is an extraordinary documentary documenting all of those things when it comes to workers' rights. Like it's a person level eye view. You can't get much more on the ground than these documentaries when it comes to those things. But here we've got a new 4K digital restoration supervised and approved by director Barbara Koppel with uncompressed monaural soundtrack, one 4K UHD disc of the film, and one Blu-ray with the film and special features. And those special features are an audio commentary by Koppel and editor Nancy Baker, making of documentary featuring interviews with Koppel, crew members, and strike participants featured in the film, outtakes from the film, interview with bluegrass singer-songwriter Hazel Dickens, interview with filmmaker John Sayles, and then there's a panel discussion from the 2005 Sundance Film Festival featuring Koppel and critic Roger Ebert. And then there's a trailer plus I don't know if there's a booklet in there. It doesn't say. But that is Harlan County, USA, and that is certainly one of the best documentaries ever made. And it's a staple. If you don't have a lot of documentaries in your collection, I would recommend Harlan County, USA. Let me go over these one more time, make sure I didn't miss any release. So we have Harlan County, USA, American Dream, Little Odessa. We have the Eclipse series box set. We have Coup de Torchon, and we have Safe. And those are the August releases. Looks like, yep, those are the August releases. So I don't think there's anything else really to go over here. I've talked enough, way longer than I thought I would, but I will answer some comments before we go here. So, have I seen The Snake Pit? I don't. Is that the movie with Olivia de Havilland? I don't know if that's the movie with Olivia de Havilland. I have seen it. I like when it's just you and not all the words on the screen, but your program is top notch. Let's see. That's Makers of Movies. Proud of you, and you do a great job. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Happy for any support. Happy for these new releases. So am I. It's a little more of a downward month from Criterion as opposed to like July and June, which I think had a lot more like impactful releases, but these are some solid films. Very documentary heavy. Now that I think about it, there's 2 documentaries plus an Eclipse series that's got 5 documentaries in it. I don't know if that was on purpose from them, but that's you did. I don't think I've seen. Do you like the movie North Country? That was a similar theme. I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen it. But what I will also mention here before I do go is that if you like the John Sayles film, Mate One, I think you'll like Harlan County, USA, and American Dream. They're very similar. John Sayles, of course, an extremely great filmmaker. Hopefully, his movie Brother from Another Planet gets a Criterion release eventually. That's what I'm hoping for. But I think that's about it here for me when it comes to this little addendum, this little bonus episode for Chasing Labels, spy number 191. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening here, whether it's on the YouTube live streams that we do, or the replays, or the audio that you can find here on YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify, Google as well, and also check out what we have here on going on Chasing Labels going forward. Tomorrow night we will have the unwatched pile. I will be watching Pale Rider, the Clint Eastwood film. That's literally what I'm going to be doing after this. After I turn this computer off, I will be doing that. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And hey, keep on watching those movies because I know I will.